You dip a primitive clay vessel into a crystal-clear pool of water. It looks pristine. There are no animal carcasses floating nearby, no foul odor, and the water is perfectly cool. You take a long, deep drink to quench a days-long thirst. But within hours, your stomach is in knots. Your vision begins to blur, your muscles seize, and you are gripped by a violent, unrelenting sickness. For modern humans, a contaminated water source means a municipal warning, a boil water advisory, or a quick trip to the pharmacy for antibiotics. But for our ancient ancestors, drinking poisoned water was a terrifying lottery. In a world before the microscope, water didn't need to look or smell dirty to be completely lethal. Natural toxins, from geological arsenic to invisible microbial blooms, lurked in the most beautiful streams. When an ancient human accidentally drank poisoned water, they triggered a desperate battle for survival that relied entirely on primal biology, evolutionary instincts, and trial-and-error medicine. The invisible killer, the danger of clean water. To survive the Paleolithic world, humans developed highly advanced sensory triggers. Our noses are exceptionally sensitive to the smell of rotting organic matter, and our tongues are hardwired to reject bitter tastes, a defensive evolutionary trait designed to stop us from chewing on toxic plants. But natural water chemistry can easily bypass these defenses. Ancient hunter-gatherers frequently encountered water poisoned by things they could neither see, smell, nor taste. One of the most common culprits was cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, and toxic microalgae blooms. Long before the algae turned into a visible green sludge, it pumped powerful hepatotoxins, liver poisons, and neurotoxins directly into the water column. Fossil records dating back millions of years show mass die-offs of ancient mammals clustered around water sources that suffered from these exact cyanobacterial blooms. Another hidden killer was geological contamination. Deep underground springs could flow through heavy deposits of raw arsenic, fluorides, or heavy metals. The water bubbling to the surface would taste completely normal, but it carried a concentrated, toxic dose. 1. The immediate biological purge. The moment the toxins hit the lining of an ancient human stomach, their internal alarm system went off. Because the body couldn't identify the specific chemical or microbe, it initiated a scorched earth protocol, immediate, violent evacuation. Nausea, projectile vomiting, and severe diarrhea were the first lines of defense. It was a brutal but highly effective physiological mechanism to flush the poison out of the gastrointestinal tract before the bloodstream could fully absorb it. If the poison was a fast-acting neurotoxin from an algal bloom, the hunter might experience sudden muscle tremors, dizziness, or temporary paralysis. In a nomadic group, this immediate physical collapse meant the entire hunting party had to stop. The poisoned individual would be laid down in the shade, and the group would instantly shift from a hunting mindset to emergency triage. 2. The charcoal treatment, the world's first filter. If the ancient humans survived the initial biological purge, the tribe would reach into their ancestral medical toolkit. One of the oldest, most universal remedies discovered by early humans was activated charcoal. Ancient people noticed that animals would sometimes eat charcoal after consuming toxic plants. Humans quickly replicated this behavior. They would crush black charcoal directly from the remains of their campfires, mix it with a small amount of safe water, and force the poisoned individual to swallow the gritty paste. They didn't know the molecular science behind it, but their observation was completely correct. Charcoal acts through a process called adsorption. The highly porous structure of carbon binds to toxins and chemical poisons at a microscopic level, trapping the poison inside the charcoal's pores, so it passes safely through the digestive tract without entering the bloodstream. It is the exact same treatment used in modern emergency rooms today for accidental poisoning. 3. The botanical emetic counters. If the charcoal didn't work, or if the individual was suffering from severe cramping but couldn't vomit, tribal healers turned to specific toxicological botanical knowledge. Throughout history, ancient societies maintained an intricate oral database of local flora, knowing exactly which roots, barks, and leaves could act as powerful emetics, substances that force vomiting. They would brew heavy, concentrated teas from specific plants to violently trigger the stomach's purging reflex one last time, hopping to expel the remaining water. Simultaneously, they would administer specific clay pastes. Certain types of natural bentonite clay possess a negative electrical charge that naturally attracts and binds to positively charged toxins in the gut, acting as a secondary sponge to soak up the poison. For the living water protocol, accidentally drinking from a poisoned pool didn't just affect the individual. It completely changed how the entire tribe interacted with that specific landscape. Ancient humans were master behavioral ecologists. If a member of the tribe fell violently ill or died after drinking from a specific water hole, that source was instantly flagged. The group would read the surrounding environment to understand why. They learned to watch animal behavior. If birds refused to land on a lake, if fish were floating dead near the edges, or if large game avoided a specific clearing, the water was deemed dead. They developed a strict preference for living water, fast-flowing, cascading mountain streams or deep groundwater springs that bubbled up through thick sand and gravel layers, which naturally filtered out dangerous pathogens and sediment. The price of knowledge. Every piece of water-filtering knowledge we possess today, from boiling water to kill invisible pathogens to passing it through charcoal and sand filters, was paid for by the accidental sacrifices of our ancestors. They had to learn the hard way that the most dangerous threats in the wilderness are often the ones you cannot see. The next time you turn on a tap and watch clean, micro-filtered, perfectly safe drinking water flow effortlessly into your glass, take a moment to appreciate the invisible shield of modern plumbing. You are living a reality that your ancestors had to fight, suffer, and innovate for thousands of generations to achieve.